Chapter 1. The Final Whistle. The scoreboard burned into my retinas. 78-82. Loss. I stood at center court, sweat dripping down my temple, my hands still trembling from the final play. The play where I'd been wide open. The play where Jude Carter, our star point guard, Mr. Perfect, the coach's golden boy, had taken the shot himself instead of passing to me. He missed. "Fucking hell," I muttered, ripping my jersey away from my chest. The fabric clung to my skin, suffocating. The visiting team celebrated on our court. Our court. The disrespect tasted like copper in my mouth. "Felix," Coach Morrison's voice cut through the noise. "Locker room, now. I am going to murder him." Jude walked ahead of me, his shoulders squared like he hadn't just cost us the regional finals, like his ego hadn't literally thrown the game. The locker room door swung shut behind us, and the rest of the team filed in, silent as a funeral procession. The smell hit me first, sweat, rubber, and something metallic. Blood? No, just the ghost of victory we'd never taste. "What the hell was that?" I didn't wait for Coach to start. I turned on Jude, my chest heaving. I was open, wide open. Jude peeled off his headband, his dark hair plastered to his forehead. Those sharp eyes, the color of burnt amber, flicked to me with all the warmth of a winter lake. "You were off balance," he said flatly. "I had the better shot." "You missed!" "Because Thompson fouled me and the ref was blind. If you'd set the screen like I called—" "I set the screen!" The words exploded out of me, my hands clenched into fists. I am vibrating with rage. "You just can't stand the idea of me being the hero, can you?" "Hero?" Jude laughed, sharp and cruel. "You're a powerhouse, Felix, a blunt instrument. You muscle through plays with zero finesse. I made a strategic decision." "Your strategic decision lost us the game." "Enough." Coach slammed his clipboard against a locker. The metal clang echoed. "Both of you, outside. Everyone else hit the showers and go home. We'll debrief Monday." The team scattered like roaches when the lights come on. I caught our shooting guard Marco's pitying look before he disappeared into the shower area. Coach pointed at us. "You two are the most talented players I've coached in 20 years. You're also the most stubborn jackasses I've ever met." His face had gone red, veins visible at his temples. "I don't care if you hate each other. I don't care if you want to rip each other's throats out. But when you're on my court, you play as a team. Figure this out or you're both benched for the season. Understood?" "Yes, Coach," we mumbled in unison. He left. The silence pressed down like a physical weight. Jude moved to his locker, methodically unlocking it. I watched his hands, long fingers, calloused from years of handling the ball. Hands that should have passed to me. "You know what your problem is?" I said, low and dangerous. "Enlighten me." Jude didn't turn around. "You think basketball is chess, some intellectual game where you're the mastermind." I stepped closer. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. "But it's not. It's war. And in war, you trust your teammates." Jude finally turned. He looked at me like I was something stuck to his shoe. "Trust?" His laugh was hollow. "Felix Rivera, the guy who tried to take my starting position sophomore year, by spreading rumors I was juicing. You want to talk about trust?" My face heated. "That was 2 years ago, and I never—" "Save it." Jude grabbed his towel. "We both know what this is. You can't stand that I'm better than you." The words hit like a physical blow. "I am across the space before I think." Jude's eyes widened just for a second before that infuriating mask slid back into place. "Say that again?" I breathed. "We're close enough that I can see the tiny scar above his left eyebrow, close enough that his exhale ghosts across my collarbone. He smells like sweat and something clean like cedar." "You heard me." But his voice lacks the earlier conviction. "You're not better than me. You're just more selfish."
Jude's hand came up, fingers wrapping around my wrist, not pushing me away, just holding. His pulse hammered against my fingertips. Get off! Make me! The challenge hung between us, electric and dangerous. For a moment, just a heartbeat, something flickered in Jude's expression, something that wasn't hate. Then he shoved me, hard. I stumbled back, catching myself on the bench. "This is pathetic," Jude said, his voice tight. "Go home, Felix. Sleep off whatever this is." He grabbed his bag and walked out, leaving me alone in the locker room with nothing but the sound of dripping showers and my own ragged breathing. I am shaking, and I don't know if it's from anger or something far more dangerous. Chapter 2. Trapped. I should have gone home, but the thought of my empty apartment, of sitting with this feeling clawing at my chest, made me want to put my fist through a wall. So I stayed.
The gym was dark except for the emergency lights, casting everything in sickly yellow. I grabbed a ball from the equipment room and headed to the court. The rubber squeaked against polished wood as I dribbled, a rhythmic, meditative sound. Shoot, miss, rebound, repeat. Each shot was Jude's face. Each miss was my failure. "You're dropping your elbow." I spun around so fast I nearly fell. Jude stood at the edge of the court, still in his practice clothes, bag slung over one shoulder. The emergency light behind him turned him into a silhouette, all sharp edges and shadows. "What are you doing here?" My voice came out rougher than intended. "I could ask you the same thing." He walked closer, his footsteps echoing. "It's almost midnight, Felix." "Couldn't sleep." "So you're practicing the shot you would have made if I'd passed to you?" There was something almost amused in his tone. "Petty. Go to hell. After you." But he didn't leave. Instead, Jude set down his bag and walked to center court. He picked up the ball I'd abandoned, turning it in his hands like he was reading Braille. "Your form is sloppy when you're angry. You overcompensate with power, but lose precision." I am not having this conversation. "Thanks for the critique, Coach Carter. Now leave me alone." "Make me." The words, my words from earlier, hung between us. Jude's eyes met mine, and there was a challenge there, a dare. "What do you want?" I asked. "One-on-one." Jude tossed me the ball. I caught it on instinct. "Right now, 1st to 21. "Are you insane?" "Scared?" The smile that curved his lips was sharp enough to draw blood. "I am not scared of Jude Carter. I'm not scared of anything." "What's the point?" "To settle this." Jude stripped off his warm-up jacket, revealing the compression shirt beneath. The fabric clung to every line of muscle. "You think you're better? Prove it. No team, no coach, just you and me. And when I win—" "If you win," Jude corrected, "I'll admit you were open. I'll admit I should have passed, in front of the whole team." My heart kicked up. "And if you win?" Jude's smile widened, predatory and beautiful. "Then you do whatever I say for a week. No complaints, no arguments." This is a terrible idea. The smart play would be to walk away, to let Coach handle this on Monday, to be the bigger person. But I've never been good at the smart play. "You're on." We played like we were trying to kill each other. Jude was faster, more technical. He moved like water, flowing around my defenses with crossovers that should have been illegal. But I was stronger, and I used every inch of my 6'3" frame to body him, to make him work for every point. The score climbed, 15-14, 17-17, 19-20. Sweat poured down my back, my lungs burned. Jude's breath came in harsh gasps, his hair wild, his eyes fever bright. Match point. I had the ball. Jude crouched in front of me, arms spread, every muscle coiled tight. "Come on, powerhouse, show me what you've got." I faked left. Jude didn't bite. I tried to drive right. He cut me off. Our bodies collided, and I am acutely aware of the heat of him, the solid weight of muscle and bone. I pivoted, went up for the shot. Jude's hand came down on the ball. Not a clean block, his fingers tangled with mine, our hands a knot of skin and sweat and desperation. We fell. The impact knocked the air from my lungs. Jude landed on top of me, his weight pressing me into the hardwood. For a second, neither of us moved. His face was inches from mine, close enough that I could count his eyelashes, see the gold flecks in his brown eyes, feel his heart hammering against my ribs. Or maybe that was my heart. I can't tell anymore. That was a foul, I managed. No ref. Doesn't count. His hand was still tangled with mine, his thumb pressed against my racing pulse. The ball went out, I managed. My mouth is dry. My position. You're really gonna argue right now? You're really gonna cheat to win? Something flickered across Jude's face. Anger, frustration, something else I couldn't name. He pushed off me, rolling to his feet in one fluid motion. Fine, your ball, let's finish this. I stood on shaking legs. My entire body is screaming. One more point, that's all I needed. I took my position at the top of the key. Jude crouched low, those sharp eyes tracking every breath I took. I drove hard to the basket. Jude stayed with me, his hand on my hip, his chest against my back. I went up. He went up with me. Our bodies tangled in midair. The ball left my fingers, spinning, arcing impossibly high. It hit the rim.
Bounced. Bounced again. Fell through. 21. I landed hard, stumbling, and Jude caught me, his arm wrapped around my waist, steadying me, and for a moment we just stood there, breathing hard, his grip an anchor. I won, I said. You got lucky, but there was no heat in it. Admit it. Jude's hand tightened on my waist. His jaw worked like he was chewing glass. You were open, he said finally. I should have passed. Louder. Don't push it, Rivera. I turned in his grip. We were close again, too close, and I am high on victory and exhaustion and something dangerous that tasted like thunder. A deal's a deal, Carter. Monday, in front of the team. Fine. Jude's eyes dropped to my mouth for just a second. Happy? No, I am not happy. I am confused and wired, and there's a feeling building in my chest that I don't have a name for. Ecstatic, I lied. Jude released me, stepping back. The cold air rushed in where his warmth had been. We should go, he said, not meeting my eyes. It's late. We gathered our things in silence. The locker room was dark when we returned. Motion sensors had timed out. Jude flicked on his phone flashlight, illuminating the space in harsh white light. I headed for my locker. Behind me, I heard Jude curse. What? Doors locked. I turned. Jude was pulling on the locker room exit door, the one that led to the parking lot. It didn't budge. Try the other one. We crossed to the door that led to the gym, also locked. You've got to be kidding me, I muttered, trying it myself. The metal was cold and unyielding under my hands. We're trapped? The motion sensors must have triggered the security system. Jude ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. When we didn't leave, it locked down automatically. Can you call someone? It's midnight on a Friday, Felix. Who am I going to call? Coach? Campus security? I pulled out my phone. 1 bar, of course. We could try to wait it out, Jude said. Maintenance does rounds at 6 a.m. 6 hours? I looked around the locker room, the rows of metal lockers, the benches, the showers in the back. You want to spend 6 hours locked in here with me? It's not my idea of a good time either, believe me. But even as he said it, something in his expression shifted. That same look from earlier when we'd been tangled on the court, like he was solving a puzzle and didn't like the answer. I am trapped in a locker room with Jude Carter for the next 6 hours. This is either going to end in murder or something much, much worse.
Chapter 3. The Bet. This is your fault, I said for the 3rd time. Jude didn't even look up from his phone. He was sitting on one of the benches, back against the locker, long legs stretched out, the picture of casual arrogance. How is this my fault? You came back. If you just gone home like a normal person, you were here too, genius. I paced the length of the locker room. 3 steps, turn. 3 steps back. The space felt smaller with every pass. I am caged, trapped, with him. I can't believe this, I muttered, of all the people to be locked in with. Trust me, the feeling is mutual. Jude finally glanced up. In the dim emergency lighting, his features were all shadow and sharp angles. You're not exactly my first choice for a slumber party. Slumber party? This is a nightmare. Drama queen, egomaniac, child, jackass, original. Jude set his phone aside. Are you going to whine all night, or can we try to coexist like adults for 6 hours? I stopped pacing. Coexist? Radical concept, I know. He leaned his head back against the locker with a soft clang. Look, we're stuck here. We can either spend the time making each other miserable, or we can, I don't know, call a truce. A truce? Temporary ceasefire, like the Christmas thing in World War I. Despite myself, I almost smiled. You're comparing us to trench warfare? If the metaphor fits, I considered this. The alternative was 6 hours of hostile silence or continuous bickering, and I was already exhausted, my body aching from the game, from our one-on-one, from the constant tension. Fine, I said. Truce, but I'm not pretending we're friends. Wouldn't dream of it.
I sat down on the opposite bench, as far from Jude as the space allowed. The metal was cold, even through my shorts. We sat in silence for a moment, the only sound the distant hum of the building's HVAC system. So, Jude said finally, about Monday. What about it? The apology, in front of the team. He was looking at me now, his expression unreadable. You're really gonna make me do that? A bet's a bet. It was match point. That contact could have gone either way. But it didn't. I met his eyes. You lost, fair and square. Jude was quiet for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, he laughed. A real laugh, not the cruel thing from earlier. You know what? Okay, you're right. I lost. He shook his head. God, I never lose. Maybe that's your problem. What? You're so used to being the best that you can't handle when someone challenges you. The words came out before I could stop them. You can't handle me. Jude's eyes narrowed. I can handle you just fine, Rivera. Then why won't you pass to me? Why do you freeze me out of plays? Because you're reckless. Jude stood up, the truce apparently forgotten. You take stupid risks. You go for the highlight reel instead of the smart play. And yeah, maybe you make the shot 70% of the time, but that 30%, that's when we lose games. At least I take risks. You're so busy trying to control everything, orchestrate everything, that you forget basketball is supposed to be beautiful. It's supposed to be instinct, not some calculated. Instinct loses championships. Jude was in my space again, like he was pulled by gravity. You think the greats just winged it? Jordan? Kobe? They studied, they prepared, they made the smart play. They also had the balls to take the last shot. I took the shot, and you missed. We were breathing hard, the anger from earlier rushing back like floodwater. But this time, something was different. This time, under the anger, there was something else. Curiosity. Why do you hate me so much? I asked quietly. Jude blinked, taken aback. I don't. You do. Since freshman year, before the rumor thing, before everything. You looked at me like I was, I don't know, an inconvenience. That's not... Jude dragged a hand down his face. Do you really want to do this, now? We've got 6 hours. Jude laughed again, but it was bitter. Fine. You want the truth? I don't hate you, Felix. I'm threatened by you. The admission hung in the air like smoke. What? You heard me. Jude sat back down, suddenly looking exhausted. You're talented in a way I'm not. It comes easy to you, the physicality, the instinct, the way the crowd responds to you. I have to work for every ounce of skill I have. I study film for hours. I drill until my hands bleed. And then you show up, this cocky freshman who's never met a play he can't muscle through, and everyone acts like you're the second coming. I am stunned silent. So yeah, maybe I don't pass to you as much as I should. Maybe I try to prove I'm better, because if I'm not the best... He trailed off, his jaw tight. My dad played professionally. Did you know that? I shook my head. Overseas. Not NBA, but close. And when he watches me play, he's looking for himself, for the player he was. And if I'm not perfect, if I'm not the absolute best on that court, then I'm a disappointment. The vulnerability in his voice did something to my chest, made it hard to breathe. That's a lot of pressure, I said carefully. Yeah, well, it's what I signed up for. Jude looked at me, and his eyes were different now, softer. What about you? What's your excuse for being an insufferable hothead? I snorted beside myself. I'm not. Okay, maybe I am. A little. A little? Fine, a lot. I leaned forward, elbows on my knees. I don't have your pressure. No professional dad, no legacy to uphold. Basketball is just, it's the only thing I'm really good at. The only thing that makes sense. And when I'm on that court, when I make a shot, for a few seconds, I'm matter, you know? Jude was quiet. Then, yeah, I know. We sat in silence, but it was different now, softer around the edges. We're both pretty messed up, I said finally. Speak for yourself. You just admitted you're threatened by me. I said what I said. But Jude was almost smiling. Truce still on? Yeah, truce. Jude stood, stretching. His shirt rolled up, revealing a strip of toned stomach, and I looked away quickly, my face heating. I'm starving. Please tell me you have food in your locker. Some protein bars. You? Gatorade. We feast like kings. We raided our lockers, spreading our meager supplies on the bench between us like a sad picnic. 2 protein bars, a Gatorade, half a bag of trail mix that definitely seen better days. To surviving until dawn, Jude said, raising his Gatorade bottle in a mock toast. I clinked my water bottle against it. To not killing each other. The night is young, but he was smiling for real now. And for the first time since I'd known Jude Carter, I smiled back.
Chapter 4. Under His Thumb. Monday came too fast. I walked into the locker room before practice, and the whole team was already there. Marco spotted me first, his eyebrows shooting up. "Felix, dude, where were you Saturday? I tried to call." Long story. I dropped my bag by my locker. Across the room, Jude was lacing his sneakers, not looking up. "Is Coach here yet?" "Meeting with the AD. We've got 10 minutes. Marco lowered his voice. "Hey, you and Jude cool after Friday?" Before I could answer, Jude stood. "Actually," he said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "I have something to say." The locker room went quiet. 12 pairs of eyes swiveled between us. Oh, he was really doing this. Jude crossed the space until he was standing in front of me. His jaw was tight, but his eyes met mine steadily. "Felix was open on that last play Friday night," he said clearly. "I should have passed to him. It was the right play, and I let my ego get in the way. That loss is on me." You could have heard a pin drop. "So, I'm sorry, to you and to the team." He held out his hand. I stared at it for a second, my heart doing something complicated in my chest. Then I took it. His grip was firm, warm. We shook once, twice. "Apology accepted," I said. The team erupted into scattered applause and some whoops. Marco clapped me on the shoulder, grinning. "Finally, maybe now you two can actually play like teammates." Jude released my hand, but didn't step back immediately. He was close enough that I could smell his cologne, something clean and expensive. "Still on for our arrangement?" he asked quietly. Right, the bet. I'd won the one-on-one, but technically the score was still 20-21 when we got interrupted by being locked in. We'd argued about it for 2 of our 6 trapped hours before coming to a compromise. We'd flip it. Instead of Jude admitting I was right, I'd do his week of commands thing. I agreed because I was delirious from exhaustion and because some stupid part of me was curious. "Yeah, we're on." Jude's smile was sharp. "Good. First command, sit with me at lunch today." "What? Why?" "Because I said so. That's how this works, remember?" Marco's eyes were ping-ponging between us. "Wait, what arrangement?" "Nothing," we said in unison. "Uh-huh, sure."
Marco looked deeply entertained. "You two are so weird." Lunch was torture. Not because Jude was cruel, he wasn't, but because sitting across from him in the dining hall, away from the team table, felt intensely public. People were staring, whispering. "You're making this into a thing," I muttered, pushing my pasta around my plate. "You're eating lunch? You're eating lunch. It's not a thing, unless you're embarrassed to be seen with me." "I'm not embarrassed. I'm confused. What's the point of this?" "The point," Jude said, leaning back in his chair, "is that we spent Friday night hating each other. We cost the team a win. And Saturday night, locked in that locker room, we actually talked, like humans. So? So, maybe if we spend more time together, we'll hate each other less. Better team chemistry." He shrugged. "Plus, watching you squirm is entertaining." "I'm not squirming. You're definitely squirming." I kicked him under the table. He kicked back harder, and I had to bite down on a yelp. "Children," a voice said behind me. I turned to find Sarah Chen, captain of the women's team, looking down at us with an amused expression. "Sarah, hey," I said. "Hey yourself. So the rumors are true, you two don't hate each other anymore?" She pulled up a chair without asking, straddling it backward. "The group chat is losing its mind." "There's a group chat about us?" Jude asked. "Oh, honey, there are 3. I groaned. Everyone loves a good rivals to friends story. Though personally, I always thought the tension between you two was less hate and more, "Don't," I interrupted. "Whatever you're about to say, don't." Sarah's grin was wicked. "I'm just saying there's a reason enemies to lovers is such a popular trope. We're not," I felt my face burn, "we're teammates, that's it." "For now." Sarah stood, winking. "See you at practice, boys. Try not to trip over all that sexual tension." She left, and I refused to look at Jude. My ears were on fire. "That was uncomfortable," Jude said mildly. "Yep." "She's not wrong, though." My eyes snapped to his. "What?"
About the tension. Jude was watching me with that analytical look, like I was a play he was trying to decode. "There's definitely something between us. Yeah, it's called animosity." "Is it?" The question sat between us, dangerous and heavy. "Jude?" "Relax, I'm messing with you." But his eyes said otherwise. "Finish your lunch, we have film study in 20. The rest of the week followed a similar pattern. Jude's commands were small things. "Sit here," "Partner with me for this drill," "Get me coffee before practice." That one I argued about, but he pointed out a bet was a bet, and I'd given my word. The team noticed. Of course they noticed. "You two are like an old married couple now," Marco said Wednesday after Jude corrected my footwork and I corrected his shooting form in the same breath. "It's unsettling." "We're just trying to not suck as teammates," I said. "Right. That's why Jude's been staring at you for the past 5 minutes." I glanced over. Jude was across the gym, supposedly stretching, but his eyes were definitely on me. When he saw me looking, he didn't look away. He smiled. "I am in so much trouble." Thursday night, my phone buzzed. Jude, "Come over, bringing film study to you." Me, "It's 9 p.m. Jude, "And? Clock's ticking on your servitude, Rivera. My dorm, 30 minutes. I should have said no. I should have told him this was getting too weird, too intense. Instead, I grabbed my keys. Jude's dorm room was exactly what I expected. Neat, organized, a desk covered in playbooks and strategy diagrams, a framed jersey on the wall signed by someone I didn't recognize. "That's my dad," Jude said, following my gaze. "His rookie year overseas." "A lot of pressure to live up to," I said, remembering our conversation in the locker room. "Yeah." He gestured to his bed. "Sit, I queued up Friday's game footage." I sat on the edge of his bed while he pulled up his laptop, settling next to me, not touching, but close. The mattress dipped under our combined weight, rolling us slightly toward each other. Jude hit play. We watched in silence, him occasionally pausing to point out positioning, missed opportunities. His knee pressed against mine, warm through the fabric of our sweats. "There," he said, pausing on the final play. See? Thompson was collapsing on me. If I'd forced the shot, I would have had the rebound position, I finished. We could have had a second chance. Exactly. Jude looked at me, and we were close. Very close. You see it too. See what? How we could be good together if we actually tried. My mouth went dry. On the court? Yeah. His eyes dropped to my mouth, just for a second. On the court. Neither of us moved. Jude, I said, my voice rough. Felix, he replied, and there was something raw in the way he said my name, like it cost him something. His hand came up, fingers tracing the edge of my jaw, soft, questioning. I should pull away. This is dangerous. This is my rival, my teammate, the guy I've spent 2 years hating. But I am leaning in. Our mouths were inches apart. I could feel his breath, could see the slight tremor in his hand. Tell me to stop, Jude whispered. I don't. The knock on the door made us both jump apart. Jude, you in there? R.A. needs to talk to you about the noise complaint from last week. Shit, Jude muttered, standing quickly. His face was flushed, his hair disheveled where When had my hand ended up in his hair? You should go, he said, not meeting my eyes. Yeah, okay. I grabbed my stuff and slipped out while Jude dealt with the R.A. The walk back to my own dorm was a blur. We almost kissed. I almost kissed Jude Carter. I am losing my mind. Chapter 5. Cracks in the Armor. Friday, Jude avoided me. Not obviously. He still ran drills, still called plays, but he didn't look at me, didn't speak to me unless absolutely necessary. The team noticed the shift, Marco especially. You two have a fight? Marco asked during a water break. No, I lied. Then why does Jude look like someone killed his dog and you look like you're ready to punch a wall? Drop it, Marco. He held up his hands. Fine, but whatever this is, fix it before tomorrow's game. We need you both. That night, I texted Jude.
We need to talk. Nothing to talk about. Bullshit. Leave it alone, Felix. Is the bet off? A long pause. Then, no. Meet me at the library. 3rd floor study room. 1 hour. The library was nearly empty this late on a Friday. I found the study room, a small glass-walled space with a table and chairs. Jude was already there, books spread in front of him. You're actually studying, I said, closing the door behind me. Econ midterm Monday. He didn't look up. What do you want, Felix? I want to know what happened last night. Nothing happened. I know what we almost did. Jude finally met my eyes, and the expression there was complicated, guarded. And it was a mistake. The words stung more than they should have. A mistake, I repeated flatly. We're teammates. You're a guy, I'm a guy. It doesn't... He shook his head. It can't happen. Because of your dad? Jude's jaw clenched. This has nothing to do with him. Doesn't it? I moved closer, leaning against the table. Everything you do is about him, about being perfect, about being the best. You don't know what you're talking about. Then explain it to me. I'm frustrated, angry, confused, because right now it feels like you're running away. I'm not... Jude stood abruptly, his chair scraping. You think this is easy for me? You think I don't... He stopped himself, running both hands through his hair. Fuck. I'd never heard him curse like that, never seen him this close to losing control. What are you so afraid of? I asked quietly. Jude laughed, hollow and broken. Everything. I'm afraid of everything. He looked at me, and his eyes were raw. I'm afraid of not being good enough. I'm afraid of disappointing my father. I'm afraid of wanting something I can't have. I'm afraid of you. Me? Yes, you. You with your stupid confidence and your reckless plays and the way you look at me like you see something worth looking at. You terrify me, Felix. My heart was hammering. Jude! The bet is still on, he said firmly. 2 more days. Sunday night, we're done. And then we go back to being teammates. Just teammates. That's all this can be. And if I don't want that? The question hung between us, dangerous and true. Jude's expression cracked just for a moment. Something desperate flickered there. It doesn't matter what we want. It matters what we can afford to lose. He gathered his books and left, leaving me alone in the study room with the ghost of almost and the weight of everything unsaid. Chapter 6, The Near Miss. Saturday's away game was brutal. We were playing St. Augustine, a team known for their aggressive defense and even more aggressive trash talk. By halftime, we were down by 8, and tempers were running hot. I'd taken 3 hard fouls, all legal but vicious. My ribs ached where their center had accidentally elbowed me going for a rebound. "You good?" asked Jude as we headed back to the court for the third quarter. "Fine." "You're limping." I said I'm fine. He didn't look convinced, but he let it drop. The third quarter was a war. St. Augustine's power forward, a hulking guy named Davis, was playing dirty, throwing elbows, grabbing jerseys when the refs weren't looking. I scored on a drive, and Davis shoved me after the whistle, hard. I stumbled but caught myself. "Problem?" I asked, getting in his face. "Yeah, you, soft little pretty boy, think he's tough?" "Back off," Jude said, suddenly between us. "Oh, look, your boyfriend's here to save you." "That's cute." Something in Jude's expression went cold, dangerous. "What did you just say?" "You heard me." Davis stepped closer to Jude. "Everyone can see it, the way you two look at each other. It's fucking Jude's fist connected with Davis's jaw before anyone could react. The gym erupted. Players from both teams rushed in. I grabbed Jude, pulling him back, while Marco and our center tried to keep St. Augustine's guys away. Whistles shrieked. Coaches were shouting. "What the hell are you doing?" I yelled at Jude. His knuckles were bleeding, his chest was heaving, but his eyes were clear and certain. "Defending you," he said simply. Both benches were assessed technical fouls. Jude got ejected, and I watched him walk to the locker room, shaking out his hand. We won the game by 3 points. I scored 24, playing like I was possessed. When I got back to the locker room, Jude was sitting on the bench, ice pack on his hand. The rest of the team hadn't arrived yet. They were doing the post-game handshake line. "That was stupid," I said, closing the door behind me.
Probably. You got ejected. Coach is gonna kill you. Worth it. Jude looked up at me. He crossed a line. People have said worse. Not about you, not in front of me. I am breathless. The way he said it, possessive, protective, final. Why? I asked, moving closer. Why do you care what some asshole says? Because, Jude stood, setting aside the ice pack. Because I'm tired of pretending. Pretending what? That I don't want this, that I don't want you. The confession hit like a physical blow. I am dizzy with it. Jude? I know what I said yesterday. I know I'm a coward, but watching him put his hands on you, hearing him say, Jude's jaw clenched, I couldn't, I can't. Can't what? Pretend you don't matter. We were close now, close enough that I could see the slight swelling on his knuckles, the rapid pulse at his throat. You punched a guy for me, I said, something like wonder in my voice. I'd do worse. His hand came up, fingers ghosting along my jaw like that night in his dorm. Tell me you don't feel this too. Tell me I'm crazy. You're not crazy. My voice came out rough. I feel it. Then why are we fighting it? Because you said, fuck what I said. Jude's other hand found my hip, pulling me closer. I'm done running. This time there was no RA knocking, no interruption. This time when Jude leaned in, I met him halfway. His mouth on mine was electric, desperate, like he'd been drowning and I was air. I gasped against his lips, and he used the opening to deepen the kiss, his tongue sliding against mine. I am on fire. Every nerve ending is lit up. My hands fisted in his jersey, pulling him closer, impossibly closer. Jude made a sound low in his throat, half groan, half growl, and walked me backward until my shoulders hit the lockers. The metal was cold against my overheated skin. Jude was warm everywhere we touched, his chest against mine, his thigh between my legs, his hands mapping my ribs, my back, my neck. Felix, he breathed against my mouth, and I am undone by the way he says my name, like a prayer, like a curse. I kissed him harder, pouring 2 years of frustration and want and confusion into it. Jude responded in kind, his fingers threading through my hair, tugging just enough to make me gasp. "We should," I started, but Jude kissed the words away. "Don't think," he murmured. "For once, just don't think." So I didn't. I let myself feel, his hands on my skin, his mouth trailing down my neck, the way he pressed me into the locker, like he wanted to crawl inside my chest. "Guys, bus leaves in 5, Marco's voice carried from outside. We broke apart, panting. Jude's lips were swollen, his hair a mess from my hands. He looked wrecked and beautiful, and I am completely gone for him. "We have to," he started. "I know." But neither of us moved. We just stood there, foreheads pressed together, trying to catch our breath. "This changes things," Jude said quietly. "Yeah. I don't know what happens now." "Me neither." I pulled back enough to meet his eyes. "But I'm not sorry." Jude's smile was soft, real. "Me neither." The door burst open. Marco froze in the doorway, eyes wide. "Oh," he said. "Oh." "Marco," I started. I didn't see anything." He was already backing out. "Take your time. I'll tell Coach you're dealing with the hand injury." He left, closing the door firmly behind him. Jude and I looked at each other. "That's gonna be a problem," I said. "Probably," but Jude was smiling. "Worth it, though." "Yeah." I kissed him again, quick and sweet. "Worth it." Chapter 7. Fever Pitch. Sunday, I woke up feeling like death. My throat was raw, my head pounded, and when I tried to sit up, the room spun. I collapsed back against my pillows, groaning. Flu. Perfect timing. My phone buzzed. Jude. "Practice at 2. Don't be late." Me. "Can't make it. Sick." Jude. "How sick?" Me. "Like death warmed over." Jude. "I'm coming over." Me. "No, you're not." Jude. "Try and stop me."
I groaned again, but this time it had nothing to do with the fever. 20 minutes later, someone knocked on my door. I shuffled over, wrapped in a blanket like a sad burrito, and opened it. Jude stood there with a grocery bag, looking unfairly healthy and put together. "You look terrible," he said. "Flatterer." I stepped aside to let him in. "What are you doing here?" "Taking care of you." Jude set the bag on my tiny kitchen counter and started unpacking. Soup, Gatorade, medicine. "When was the last time you ate?" "I don't know. Yesterday?" "Felix." His tone was scolding. "Go lie down. I'll heat up the soup." "I don't need a nursemaid." "Clearly you do. Now go." I was too tired to argue. I collapsed on my couch, pulling the blanket tighter. My apartment was a studio, basically one room with a bathroom, nowhere to hide from Jude's concerned hovering. He moved around my kitchen like he belonged there, opening cabinets, finding a bowl. The domesticity of it made my chest tight. "Here." Jude brought over the soup and sat next to me, close enough that our knees touched. "Eat." "Bossy." "And yet you're doing what I say." His smile was smug. I ate the soup, chicken noodle, still hot, and felt marginally more human. Jude watched me the whole time, those sharp eyes cataloging every movement. "You don't have to stay. I'm fine alone." "Liar. You were probably going to sleep all day and not take any medicine or drink water." Maybe." "Exactly." Jude took the empty bowl. "So I'm staying. Deal with it." Something warm bloomed in my chest that had nothing to do with the soup. "Why?" I asked. "Why what?" "Why do you care?" I pulled the blanket up to my chin. "Yesterday you said we couldn't, and now you're here playing doctor." Jude was quiet for a moment, washing the bowl in my sink. "I care because I can't help it," he said, finally, his back still to me. "I've tried not caring about you, Felix. Tried for 2 years. It never worked."
Jude! Let me finish. He turned around, leaning against the counter. I thought if I kept you at a distance, if I competed with you, if I made you the enemy, then these feelings would go away. But they didn't. They just got stronger. And Friday night, watching Davis put his hands on you, his jaw clenched, I realized I'd rather risk everything than keep pretending you don't matter. I am too sick for this conversation, too vulnerable. My defenses are down, my walls crumbling. Come here, I said softly. Jude crossed the small space and sat next to me. I shifted, resting my head on his shoulder. You're going to get sick, I mumbled. Don't care. His arm came around me, pulling me closer. I sighed, letting myself relax against him. He was warm and solid and steady. This is nice, I admitted. Yeah. Jude's hand rubbed slow circles on my back. It is. We sat like that for a while, the silence comfortable. I must have dozed off because when I woke up, I was lying on the couch with my blanket tucked around me. Jude was in my desk chair, laptop open, headphones in. What are you doing? My voice was rough from sleep. He pulled out one earbud. Film study. Shh, go back to sleep. You're studying here? Someone needs to make sure you don't die. Might as well be productive. His smile was soft. Sleep, Felix. I wanted to argue, but my eyes were already closing again, the fever pulling me under. The last thing I felt was Jude's hand in my hair, gentle and careful. I woke up again around sunset. The fever had broken, leaving me sweaty but clearer-headed. Jude was still there, now on his phone, texting someone. Hey, I croaked. Hey yourself. How do you feel? Less dead. I sat up slowly. What time is it? Almost 6. You slept for 3 hours. You stayed the whole time? Told you I would. Jude set his phone aside. You need to eat something else. Can you handle more soup? Maybe toast. I can do toast. I watched him move around my kitchen again, this time making toast and tea like it was the most natural thing in the world, like he'd done it 100 times before. The coach is going to wonder where you are, I said. I told him I was helping you. He knows you're sick. And he just accepted that? Right. Marco had caught us, which meant the whole team probably knew by now. Are you okay with that, people knowing? I asked carefully. Jude was quiet for a moment, staring at his hands. I don't know, he admitted. It's complicated. My dad will love you regardless, because you're his son, and you're amazing. Jude's eyes snapped to mine, something vulnerable flickering there. You don't know that.
I know you, and I know you're so much more than basketball. I reached out, taking his hand. Whatever happens with your dad, with the team, with any of this, I'm here, okay? Jude's throat worked. For a second, I thought he might cry. Instead, he climbed onto the couch, carefully maneuvering until he was lying next to me, our bodies pressed together in the small space. You're still contagious, I warned. Worth the risk. He kissed me, soft and sweet and achingly tender, not hungry like in the locker room. This was different. This was a promise. When he pulled back, I was breathless for reasons that had nothing to do with being sick. Stay, I whispered. Tonight. Jude. Just to sleep. I don't want to be alone. Jude searched my face. Then he nodded. Okay, I'll stay. We fell asleep on my couch, tangled together under the blanket. At some point in the night, we moved to my bed, barely big enough for one person, let alone 2 basketball players. I woke up with Jude's arm around my waist, his breath warm against my neck. Morning light filtered through the blinds, painting everything gold. I am happy. The realization hit me with startling clarity. For the first time in months, maybe years, I am genuinely happy. Jude stirred behind me, pulling me closer. Morning, he mumbled against my shoulder. Morning. How do you feel? Better, much better. His hand splayed across my stomach, thumb tracing lazy circles. I shivered despite myself. Good. Jude pressed a kiss to the back of my neck. Because we have practice in 2 hours, and coach will kill us if we're both absent.
Practical, as always. One of us has to be. I turned in his arms, facing him. His hair was a disaster, sticking up at odd angles. There were pillow creases on his cheek. He looked perfect. "Thank you," I said, "for yesterday, for staying." "You don't have to thank me." Jude's hand cupped my face. "This is what people do when they care about someone." "Is that what this is? Caring?" "Among other things." His smile was wry. "I'm not good at this, Felix. Relationships, feelings, all of it. I'm gonna mess up. Probably a lot. So will I. But I want to try, if you do." I answered by kissing him, morning breath and all. Jude laughed against my mouth, pulling me closer. We didn't make it to practice on time, but for once, neither of us cared. Chapter 8. The Secret Outed. Monday at practice, the energy was weird. The team wasn't hostile, just overly careful, like we were made of glass. Marco kept shooting me meaningful looks, and our center, Derek, suddenly found the floor very interesting whenever Jude and I were in the same space. "Okay, what's going on?" I finally asked during a water break. Marco glanced at Jude, then back to me. "Nothing. That's the worst lie I've ever heard. It's just—" Derek cleared his throat. "We're happy for you guys, seriously. We just don't want it to be weird." "It's not weird," Jude said firmly. "We're still teammates, still here to win. Nothing else changes." "Right," Marco nodded. "Cool. That's cool." It was absolutely weird. Coach called us in for a huddle. "Championship is Saturday. St. Mary's is going to be tough. They're ranked second in the state. I need everyone focused. I need everyone communicating." His eyes found Jude and me. "I need my best players playing like they trust each other. Can you do that?" "Yes, coach," we said in unison. "Good. Now run suicides until I'm tired of watching." We groaned, but complied. After practice, Jude and I lingered in the equipment room, organizing balls and putting away cones. The space was cramped, smelling of leather and rubber and sweat. "That went better than expected," I said. "Did it?" Jude passed me a ball to rack. "Everyone's acting like we're about to explode. Maybe we need to prove we won't." "And how do we do that?" I shrugged. "Play well Saturday. Show them this doesn't change anything on the court." Jude was quiet, stacking cones. Then, "Does it change anything off the court?" "What do you mean?" I mean, he turned to face me. Are we together? Are we just messing around? Are we—" I kissed him, cutting off the spiral of anxiety. When I pulled back, his eyes were wide. "We're figuring it out," I said firmly. "There's no rush, no label required. We just exist, together, and see where it goes." "That's very emotionally mature of you. Don't sound so surprised." Jude's smile was wry. "I'm not good at this, Felix. Relationships, feelings, all of it. I'm gonna mess up. Probably a lot. So will I. But I want to try, if you do."
"Don't sound so surprised." Jude smiled, that real smile that made my chest tight. "Fair enough." He kissed me again, slower this time. His hands found my hips, pulling me flush against him. I sighed into his mouth, my fingers threading through his hair. "We should," Jude gasped as I kissed down his neck. "Someone could—" "Door's closed," I murmured against his skin. "Felix." The door opened. We sprang apart. Sarah Chen stood in the doorway, basketball in hand, her expression morphing from neutral to gleeful in 0.5 seconds. "Well, well, well," she drawled. "The group chats are going to have a field day with this." "Sarah," Jude started, his face flushed. "This isn't—" "Don't even try to deny it. I have eyes." She tossed the ball to me. "Relax. I'm not going to tell anyone. Your secret's safe." "It's not a secret," I said. "The team knows." "The team suspects there's a difference." Sarah leaned against the doorframe. "But if you two want to avoid becoming the campus's hottest gossip topic, maybe save the makeout sessions for somewhere more private?" She had a point. "Thanks, Sarah," Jude muttered. "Anytime. Also, congrats. You two are cute together. Annoying, but cute." She winked and left, closing the door behind her.
Jude and I looked at each other. "We have got to be more careful," he said. "Or we could just stop hiding." "Felix, I'm serious." I moved closer, taking his hand. "Everyone's going to find out eventually. Why not control the narrative? Because my dad reads the campus newspaper, because scouts come to these games, because you're scared," I said gently. "And I get it. But hiding us isn't going to make this easier." Jude's jaw clenched. "You don't understand what's at stake." "Then explain it to me." "My dad doesn't—" Jude pulled his hand away, running it through his hair. "He has certain expectations about who I am, what I am, and us, doesn't fit into that picture. So you're going to let him dictate your life, your happiness? It's not that simple." "It is that simple." My voice rose. "Either you want this or you don't. Either I'm worth the risk or I'm not." Jude looked stricken. "You are. You're worth everything. That's not the question." "Then what is?" "Whether I'm brave enough," his voice cracked. "Whether I can be the person who chooses himself over his father's approval. And right now, Felix, I don't know if I can." The honesty gutted me. "Okay," I said quietly. "Okay, we'll keep it quiet, for now. Felix, it's fine, I get it." I grabbed my bag. "I'll see you tomorrow." "Felix, wait!" But I was already gone, the weight of his fear and my disappointment heavy on my shoulders. Chapter 9. The Championship. Saturday arrived with the weight of everything unsaid. Jude and I had barely spoken all week. We ran drills together, passed the ball, called plays, but the easy warmth from before was gone, replaced by a careful politeness that hurt worse than our old animosity. The team felt it. Coach felt it. "Whatever's going on with you two," Coach said before the game, "figure it the hell out. We need you synchronized today." The locker room was tense as we suited up. St. Mary's was good, really good. Their point guard was being scouted by Division I schools, and their defense was notoriously aggressive. This was the game that mattered. Win, and we'd go to states. Lose, and the season was over. I laced my sneakers, my hands shaking slightly. Across the room, Jude was doing the same, his face a mask of concentration. Marco sat down next to me. "You okay?" "Fine. You're a terrible liar. Look, I don't know what happened between you and Jude, but whatever it is, you need to put it aside for the next 2 hours. Can you do that?" I looked at Jude. He was already looking at me. Our eyes met across the crowded locker room, and something passed between us. An understanding, a truce. "Yeah, I can do that." The game was a battle from the first whistle. St. Mary's came out aggressive, pressing full court, forcing turnovers. We were down 8-2 before Coach called a timeout. "Move the ball! Stop trying to be heroes and play as a team." Jude and I looked at each other. "I'm open on the wing. I can beat their 3 in transition." "I know." Jude's jaw was tight. "I'll find you." And he did. The next possession, Jude brought the ball up court, weaving through their press. I sprinted ahead, calling for it. The pass was perfect, right in my hands at full speed. I went up, their defender a step behind, and the ball swished through. "Yeah!" I pointed at Jude. He nodded, something like a smile flickering. We found our rhythm after that.
Jude would drive, draw the defense, then dish to me for the finish. Or I'd set brutal screens, freeing Jude for open shots. Our two-man game became unstoppable, a perfectly synchronized machine. By halftime, we'd clawed back to tie it 34-34. In the locker room, the team was buzzing with energy. "Keep it up," Coach said. "Jude, Felix, that's what I've been waiting for all season. That connection. Don't lose it." Jude and I ended up at our lockers, away from the others. "You're playing well," he said quietly. "So are you." Silence. Then, "I'm sorry," Jude said, "for this week, for being a coward." "You're not a coward." "I am, but I'm trying to be better." He looked at me and his eyes were honest, raw. "After this game, win or lose, I'm going to call my dad. I'm going to tell him about you, about us." My heart stuttered. "Jude, I can't promise it'll go well. I can't promise he'll understand, but you were right.
You're worth the risk. This is worth the risk. I am breathless. Okay, I managed. Okay. The whistle blew, calling us back to the court. Jude caught my wrist. Let's win this thing. Together, I agreed. The second half was a war. Neither team could pull away. The lead changed 8 times in the third quarter alone. With 2 minutes left, we were tied 67-67. St. Mary's had the ball. Their point guard drove, but Marco forced a turnover. Jude grabbed the loose ball, pushing it up court. I ran with him, the crowd roaring. "Felix!" Jude called. I cut to the basket. Their defense collapsed on me. At the last second, I kicked it back to Jude at the three-point line. He rose up. The ball left his hands in perfect rotation. Swish! 70-67. The gym erupted. St. Mary's called timeout with 40 seconds left. In the huddle, Coach was animated. They're going to run a pick and roll. Jude, you have to fight through the screen. Felix, help side if he gets beat. Everyone else, crash the boards if they shoot. We broke the huddle, hands together. Defense, we shouted. St. Mary's inbounded. Their point guard drove at Jude hard, using a screen at the top of the key. Jude fought through, barely, but the guard had a step. He went up for the layup. I rotated over, jumping with everything I had. Block! The ball sailed out of bounds. St. Mary's ball, but only 15 seconds left. They inbounded again. This time, their shooting guard got free for a 3. He shot. The ball arced through the air, impossibly high. Time seemed to slow. The ball hit the front rim, bounced up, hit the back rim, and fell out. Derek grabbed the rebound, passed it to Jude. Jude dribbled out the clock, and when the buzzer sounded, the scoreboard read 70-67. We won. The celebration was chaos. The team mobbed each other, screaming and hugging. Coach was yelling something about states. The crowd was chanting our names. Through it all, I found Jude. He was grinning, sweat-soaked and beautiful. Our eyes met across the court. Then he was there, his arms around me, lifting me off my feet. "We did it!" he shouted over the noise. "We did it!" I agreed. He set me down, but didn't let go. His hands framed my face, and for a second I thought he might kiss me right there in front of everyone. Instead, he pressed his forehead to mine. "Locker room," he breathed. "After." "After," I confirmed. Chapter 10. The Prize. The locker room finally emptied an hour later. The team had celebrated, Coach had given his speech, parents had congratulated us. Now it was just Jude and me, the space echoing with ghosts of the season. I sat on the bench, still in my uniform, adrenaline slowly fading. Jude was across the room, texting someone. "Your dad?" I asked. "Yeah," he set his phone down. "Said he played well." "You did?" "We did." Jude crossed to me, sitting close enough that our knees touched. I'd told him I need to talk to him tomorrow, in person.
My stomach clenched. "Are you sure?" "No, but I'm doing it anyway." His hand found mine, fingers interlacing. "You make me want to be braver." "Jude, let me finish." He took a breath. "This whole season, I've been so focused on being perfect, on living up to some impossible standard. And then you showed up and ruined everything. Gee, thanks. In the best way." His smile was soft. "You made me realize that basketball isn't everything, that being perfect isn't the same as being happy, that sometimes the messiest, most complicated thing is exactly what you need." I am going to cry like an actual child. "You're not usually this articulate," I managed. "I practiced in the shower." That startled a laugh out of me. Jude grinned, then sobered. "I'm falling for you, Felix Rivera. Maybe already fell. And I'm tired of pretending otherwise." My heart was going to explode. "Yeah?" "Yeah." I kissed him, pulling him close. Jude made that sound again, the one that undid me, and kissed back with bruising intensity. "I'm falling too," I whispered against his mouth. In case that wasn't obvious. "Say it again." "I'm falling for you, Jude Carter. Have been since you first pissed me off freshman year." Romantic. "Shut up and kiss me." So he did.
This kiss was different from the others. Not desperate or stolen or careful. This was a claiming, a promise. Jude's hand slid under my jersey, finding bare skin. I gasped, arching into his touch. "Is this okay?" he asked, pulling back just enough to meet my eyes. "More than okay." "Good." His smile was wicked. "Because I've been thinking about this for weeks." "Weeks?" "Try years." Jude's hands mapped my ribs, my chest, learning the geography of me. "Do you have any idea how hard it was to hate you when all I wanted was this?" "Show me," I challenged. Jude pushed me back onto the bench, his body covering mine. The weight of him was perfect, grounding. His mouth found my neck, teeth grazing sensitive skin, and I am coming apart. "Jude," I breathed, my hands fisting in his jersey. "I'm here." His voice was rough, wrecked. "I've got you." He kissed me again, deep and slow, like he had all the time in the world, like nothing existed except this moment. I pulled his jersey off, needing to feel more of him. Jude did the same with mine. And then it was skin on skin, heat on heat. I am burning up and never wanted to stop. "You're so beautiful," Jude murmured, his hands tracing patterns on my chest. "I should have told you that before." "You can tell me now." Beautiful, infuriating, perfect. Each word was punctuated with a kiss. My jaw, my collarbone, my shoulder. Mine. The possessiveness in his voice sent electricity down my spine. "Yours," I agreed, breathless. Jude's hand slid lower, and I gasped, my hips bucking up involuntarily. He smiled against my skin, clearly pleased with my reaction. "Sensitive," he observed. Shut up." He laughed, the sound vibrating against my chest. Then his expression turned serious, tender. "I want to take my time with you, Felix. Not rush this. Make it mean something." "I'm overwhelmed." "It already means something." "Yeah." Jude's thumb traced my bottom lip. "It does." We kissed again, slower this time, learning each other. The taste of him, salty and something sweet. The way he shuddered when I bit his lower lip gently. The sound he made when my hands explored the muscles of his back. Time became liquid. We moved together, finding rhythm, chasing sensation. Jude's hands were everywhere, patient, thorough, driving me to the edge and pulling me back. I am lost in him, in us, in the feeling of finally letting go. "Felix," Jude gasped, his forehead pressed to mine. Me too." We moved together, faster, desperate, until the tension shattered and reformed into something brilliant. I bit down on Jude's shoulder to muffle my cry, and he buried his face in my neck, breathing hard. For a long moment, we just stayed there, tangled together, hearts racing, the world slowly coming back into focus. "Wow," I finally managed. "Yeah." Jude sat lifting his head, his expression soft and satisfied. "Wow." He kissed me again, gentle now, sweet. "We should probably clean up before someone actually does walk in." Probably. But neither of us moved, not yet. Eventually, we did clean up, found our scattered jerseys, wiped down with towels from the showers, tried to look somewhat presentable. "Your hair is a disaster. Whose fault is that?" "Proud of it, actually." He laughed, pulling me in for another kiss. "I'm addicted to this, to him, to the easy affection, to the way he looks at me like I'm something precious."
"Come home with me," Jude said. "My roommate's gone for the weekend. We can actually do this properly. In a bed." "Scandalous." "Is that a yes?" I kissed him instead of answering, and he took that as the yes it was. Jude's dorm was dark when we arrived. He led me inside, locking the door behind us. The space was small but neat. 2 beds, 2 desks, posters of basketball legends on the walls. "That's mine," Jude said, pointing to the bed on the left. It was made with military precision, the comforter smooth and tucked. "Of course it is," I teased. "Perfectly organized, like everything else about you." "Not everything." He pulled me close, his hands sliding into my back pockets. "You've made me very disorganized." "Good." We kissed our way to his bed, shedding clothes in a trail across the floor. By the time we collapsed onto the mattress, we were down to our boxers, our skin flushed and heated. "Hi," Jude said, hovering over me. "Hi yourself. I really like you." The simple honesty of it made my chest tight. "I really like you too." "Good." He kissed me softly. "Let's do this right." This time was different from the locker room. Slower, more intentional. Jude took his time, kissing every inch of skin, learning what made me gasp, what made me squirm. His hands were reverent, mapping my body like it was something worth memorizing. "You're killing me," I managed, my voice ragged. "Good." Jude's smile was wicked against my hip bone. "Patience, Rivera." "I don't have patience, you know this." "Then I'll have to teach you." He did, methodically, tortuously, until I was a shaking, desperate mess beneath him. "Jude," I pleaded, "please." "Please what?" "You know what." "Say it." I pulled him up, kissing him hard. "I want you, all of you, right now." Something blazed in Jude's eyes. Want, possession, tenderness, all mixed together. "Okay," he breathed. "Okay." He reached for his nightstand, rummaging in the drawer, found what he needed. His hands shook slightly as he prepared, and the vulnerability of it, the realness, made me fall even harder. "You sure?" he asked, positioning himself. "Never been more sure of anything." Jude kissed me as he pressed forward, and I am overwhelmed by the sensation, by the intimacy, by the way he watched my face like I was the only thing that mattered. "Breathe," he murmured. "I've got you." I did, and he did. We moved together, finding our rhythm. It was clumsy at first. We were both nervous, both new to this together. But then something clicked. Our bodies synchronized like they did on the court, reading each other, anticipating, responding. "Felix," Jude gasped, his voice breaking. "You feel, God, you feel." "I know, I know." I wrapped my legs around his waist, pulling him deeper. Jude groaned, his hips stuttering, and I am flying apart, sensation building at the base of my spine. "Look at me," Jude demanded, his hand cupping my face. I did, met those brown eyes, now dark with want and something deeper. "I'm falling so hard for you," he whispered. "You know that, right?"
Yeah, my voice cracked. "I'm falling too." That was all it took. We tumbled over the edge together, Jude's mouth swallowing my cry, my name a prayer on his lips. The world went white, then soft, then settled into the gentle afterglow of perfect contentment. Jude collapsed on top of me, breathing hard. I wrapped my arms around him, holding him close. "I love you," I said quietly. The words slipped out before I can stop them. Jude went very still. Then he lifted his head, his eyes searching mine. "Say that again?" "I love you, Jude Carter, even when you're bossy and infuriating and too perfect for your own good. I love you." His smile was brilliant, bright enough to rival the sun. "I love you too, Felix Rivera, even when you're reckless and stubborn and drive me absolutely crazy. I love you." He kissed me, soft and sweet and certain. We lay tangled together afterward, the sheets a mess around us. Jude's fingers traced lazy patterns on my chest, and I played with his hair, still damp with sweat. "So," I said, "that happened." "Best championship prize ever," Jude agreed. "Is that what I am? A prize?" "The prize, the only one that matters." He propped himself up on one elbow, looking down at me. "I'm serious about tomorrow, about telling my dad." "I know you are." "He might not take it well." "Then we'll deal with it. Together." Jude's expression softened. "Together. I like the sound of that." "Me too."
We stayed up for hours, talking about everything and nothing, about the championship, about states, about what came after graduation, about fears and dreams, and the terrifying possibility of a future where we didn't have to hide. Eventually, exhaustion won. I dozed off with Jude's arm around me, his heartbeat steady under my ear. I am happy, I am safe, I am home. Epilogue. 3 months later. The state championship banner hung in our gym, gold and proud. We'd won, not easily, double overtime, a last-second shot by Marco, but we'd won. And somehow, between the victories and the practices and the endless media attention, Jude and I had made it work. His dad had taken the news not well, not at first. There were arguments, tense phone calls, a few weeks of painful silence. But slowly, gradually, his dad had come around, especially after watching us play together at States, seeing the way we moved as one unit, the way we made each other better. "You're happy," his dad had said finally, after the championship game. "That's all that really matters." It wasn't perfect. There were still challenges, scouts who asked invasive questions, teammates who didn't quite understand, the constant pressure of being visible. But we had each other, and that made everything else manageable. "Hey, you ready?" Jude appeared at my locker, already in his suit for the athletic banquet. "Almost." I straightened my tie, fumbling with the knot. "Here." Jude batted my hands away, fixing it himself. His fingers were gentle, practiced. "There. Perfect. You just like bossing me around." "True, but also you're terrible at ties." I pulled him close, kissing him softly. "Love you anyway." "Love you too, you disaster." But he was smiling. We walked to the banquet together, hands linked. A few people stared. Most smiled. Sarah wolf whistled from across the parking lot, and Marco gave us a thumbs up. "You know," Jude said as we reached the door, "I never would have imagined this." "What, us?" "Us. Happy, together, not trying to kill each other." I laughed. "Character development. The best kind." Jude squeezed my hand. "Ready to face the masses?" "With you?" "Always." We walked inside together, rivals turned lovers, enemies turned partners, two broken pieces that had somehow found a way to fit. And for once, the future didn't feel terrifying. It felt like possibility. The end.